Well, guys, we did it again. Another awesome day, and it was just an excellent day of getting out there and testing. And again, thanks to Tim for putting together the transducer mount. We were able to mount the multi-beam, the side scan, all of those different types of transducers onto that, and able to get some really good pictures, I think, out there. So. Overall, I was pretty impressed with what I saw. But Eric, what's your impression? I mean, obviously it's the TCT3 with the DFF 3D.
Yeah.
But tell me what you saw out there.
I mean, the DFF 3D has been out for a little while. We've won a lot of awards with it. I've never really ran the DFF 3D in shallow water like we did today. In the deep water, I've been out a lot of times. It punched down to 1,000 feet consistently, even over. I mean, we were getting pretty thin red line bottom at about almost 1,100 feet, which is right where we spec the product at. And side to side targets, anything under 1,000 feet, we're reading, under the boat and off to the sides really well. But I've seen that before. What I was really impressed with today was how we would compare with the competitors at the shallow water. And in shallow water, it kind of shocked me. Even at 15 feet, marking that one wreck out here, seeing the individual ribs in that sunken boat or the sunken barge, it kind of blew me away. I didn't expect it to look that good, but I honestly, it wasn't on the other boats looking at our competitors' side scan stuff. But overall, from shallow to deep, there's really no, it doesn't lack anywhere. It just does its job. It shows you where the fish are in 800, 900 feet, off to the sides, under the boat. You can target them, and as Jack will probably confirm, it was just pretty impressive overall. There was really no areas where I would go, wow, this just doesn't work well.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, the 3D transducer was awesome all the way around, from shallow to deep. We're marking schools of tuna, amberjack. We're watching from on top of the hump, falling off down to that deeper water with the shade, the color code shade made it very simple. And then as we came into the shallower wrecks, definitely that shallow wreck with the side scan, yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, I was marking bait. I know we catch cigar minnows off that wreck, and I'm able to mark those as well.
Schools of cigar minnows.
Yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
swimming on the side. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's an amazing product right there. I mean, definitely, when I'm out there and I'm using it every day, that is my go-to transducer, because we catch a lot of fish that are going to be schooling around on the top. So I need to know where they are, if they're 200 feet this way, 100 feet this way, whether they're up high, a little bit down lower, and that's what gives me the advantage.
Yeah. Just telling your customers where to drop. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, would you say that it's accurate when you're out there fishing and you see, because that's a 120-degree beam that you're looking at, and it's telling you from port to starboard where the fish are. Is it pretty accurate?
Oh, it's 100% accurate. I mean, there's times out there, and we fish a lot of permit, and those fish are moving, and that school is constantly moving around. And it may be a big school of 100 fish, it may be a small school of 5, and we can decipher that. And just knowing where they are in that water column, sometimes the water is not always that crystal clear, so I can't always be up in the tower spotting them there. So like once that water gets dirty, then that's when I have to count on that equipment. So that Furuno 3D unit, I can mark them, and I know, and I can just stop the boat and tell my customers, cast to the right 100 feet, and guess what? They hook up every time.
Wow.
Cam, they're only down 107 feet.
You should be able to see them. You should be able to see them on the side scan.
I'm marking them way down 405 feet too. You know what those are? AJ City, baby. And right on the bottom, 502 feet. We're in 704.
Ever catch a jack?
Really? Yeah, we're marking really good. Really? Yeah, we got it.
It's pretty amazing. Tim, how about you? You were on which boat?
So I was on System A, and I'm kind of got a smile on my face because I can list the pros and cons. So maybe working at Furuno and working with the DFF 3D, I worked backwards. So we started out at the humps, 30 miles offshore, and we're in 1,000 feet of water. Nothing on the screen.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing to see here. Move along. So we did try it, and I just wanted to see what we saw because it was kind of a learning curve for me. I wanted to see what they were capable of. But the fact that we use 165 kilohertz, we can punch down to 1,000 feet. We can see 600 feet off the port, 600 feet off the starboard, and using System A, we weren't seeing anything at all. So it was kind of irrelevant how far we could see because we really couldn't see anything in that depth of water. But I'll give System A some credit. When we moved into the shallower water, they give you 2 frequencies to work with for side scan. So we started at 260 kilohertz, and when we went to the second wreck, it was in the 200, 250 foot range. We started to see things, but Captain Mike can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were in that range, the targets, while being seen, were so small they were almost unusable. So then we, while we were still there at 250 feet, we bumped it up to 455 kilohertz just to see what we'd get. And at that point, we pretty much didn't get much of anything again because it's such a high frequency, I didn't expect to see it at that depth. One of the unique features I found in System A is the fact that you can choose from multiple frequencies, even on side scan and, kind of down view. So what we did was we bumped it up. Previously, we were using 260 kilohertz, and right now we bumped it up to 455 kilohertz. And like we talked about when we were out on the Marathon hump where it was much deeper, depth can be frequency dependent. So now that we moved it from 260 kilohertz to 455 kilohertz, we're still at 255 feet of water, and we're noticing that while we can see bottom, we can't really see any fish at that high of a frequency at this depth. If we take a close look at the chirp screen, which is set for medium chirp right now, we have a good target, and it's just a teeny small target up here, and it's very hard to see on side scan at all. So once again, just proving the fact that you have to be pretty specific with your frequencies depending on what you're looking for and what depth of water you're in. Where both frequencies really seemed to shine was in shallow water. When we moved into the 20-foot wreck, which was the barge, right, Mike? When we ran into that, everything really did shine. So I'll give them credit for that, whether it was 260 kilohertz or 455 kilohertz. Once you get below 100 feet, it gives you a really good picture, and it is kind of impressive, and I really can't, I have no complaints about that.
Good.
So, but I did learn something today, and like I said, it's got its pros and cons, and you just got to pick what works for you.
Right. So, Captain Mike, so you have a DFF 3D on your boat, right, that you use every day? So how would you compare System A to DFF 3D for how you fish and what you would normally use it for?
Honestly, for me out there, everything is visual. Like, I really need to see what's going on, to set up properly, get in the right position, get baits down right where they need to go. Like Tim was saying, the deep water on that was just not good. It just did not work at all. And the thing is, for me, is I do a lot more deeper water fishing. So for me, it doesn't work as well, but when we got into that shallow water, it really lit everything up. I mean, I could see the contours of the barge. I could see, when we were in the wreck at 115, I could see everything pretty well. But anything in that deep water, it just wasn't cutting it, not at all.
Well, I'm going to move on to System C, which is Braden.
Yeah.
What did you experience out there?
So out in the deep, I wasn't expecting to see much, just like Tim was saying. One thing that did surprise me, when we got on top of the hump in that 500-foot mark, I got the faintest of a bottom line. So it was trying real hard. It was really trying. So I got the faintest of the bottom mark in that 500 foot. But, out there trying to use it for catching fish and, trying to use it for, lining up on the bottom, really not usable, out there in the deep. When we moved into, kind of like what Tim was saying, we moved into that 250 mark, that's where I really was starting to see a little bit more with System C. I'll give them some credit. I think probably out of the other systems, they probably have the best deeper water performance other than the DFF 3D multi-beam. I was able to, make out the wreck, see some schools of fish around. The most useful part of it, though, was there's a high frequency built into my transducer on System C. That would be able to show me the fish and the wrecks, more clear than I was able to see them on the down scan or side scan, even though I could pick them up.
All right, so yeah, this here on the bottom machine, that's going to be the plane wreck that we came out here looking for, marking it in 250 feet or so.
All right, Cam, are we seeing it on the other views here?
Not so much. You see it very faintly here, what looks like the down view.
Okay, so what we're looking at on System C is in the top left, we're looking at our side scan, and then we've got our down scan, we've got our high frequency sonar, and we've got our 3D here. What we're looking at is on side scan, we did not really pick up the wreck much here. There's a little line of something we could see, but didn't really pick it up. On down scan, we have a little bit of relief off the bottom here. Still not a whole lot of detail. The most detail on this transducer is going to come from the high frequency sonar. We're seeing the relief off the bottom, and we're possibly maybe seeing a couple fish. The 3D out here at about 250 feet of water, we're not really getting much detail, not really any usable information. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
agree with that.
But moving into the shallow water, same story here. Detail, I'm able to see the superstructure, I'm able to see the fish. The detail's unbelievable in shallow water. These higher frequencies, that's what they're built to do. They're built for the shallow water, they're built for that detail, in that water. But you're seeing the fish, though, still in those higher frequencies, they're little specks, even in that shallower water. That's, where it is nice to still have that sonar side of it. But, still, using the DFF3D quite a bit, which I have, I would take that any day over System C, unfortunately. But for the shallow water, it did good. Deeper water, like Tim said, it's just not useful.
Okay. Cam, you were on the same boat. What was your take on it?
So throughout all the areas we kind of hit and mapped out with the transducer and everything, the conclusion pretty much was that for a guy like me or guys at this company, we do a lot of deep water fishing, and it just really didn't cut it. When you got to the shallow water, it pulled up and held up just like the rest of them. But as far as what we do, the deeper water, it just wasn't good for that. So,
So, Clayton, what happened with System B?
Well, we were kind of thinking the same thing, that with the frequency that it was operating at, that it would be pretty useless in deep water. Well, it was pretty much useless, period, because it never worked. We couldn't get it to work. We, tried to fix it on the water. We tried master resetting the machine. You and I beat the hell out of that thing.
Restarting it.
Oh yeah, and it just wouldn't even see it.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get a chance to even use our side scan at
So we
all.
got no data.
So
to be fair, you can't really say
we can't really say it was terrible.
You can't compare,
No.
because it just wasn't working for
No,
you.
it
But
just flat out didn't work.
so,
we had
but Captain Manny, what is your thought on that? And what?
A lot of frustration because it is a pretty expensive unit, and you put it all together, you pay installation, and then you get out there, you're excited to use it, and it doesn't even pop up. So imagine the frustration of somebody who just spent that kind of money, or a captain like me who is a professional and need it every single day for the unit to completely fail on that part and other parts. But we really would like to give some data feedback, but we unfortunately don't have any. It just did not work for us today.
Yeah, and this is a brand new unit too, so we're not quite sure what the problem is.
All right. Well, all in all, it sounds like it was a successful day. There were pros and cons to all three of the competitor systems. I'm happy to report that it was mostly all pros for the DFF3D.
I had no complaints, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I have to say, even I was on the boat with Captain Jack and Eric, and there were moments where Eric was like, there's one mode where he has never been a fan of, which was the side scan. He goes, I don't even use that. And I made him put it on the screen because I wanted to show it. And it was pretty funny because Captain Jack was like, just wait, it'll make sense to you. and we got into where it was a little bit shallower, and we were able to see the minnows and the bait and the structure. And Eric admitted, and I want this on camera, Eric admitted that he was wrong.
Yeah. I was wrong, yeah. In 35, 40, 20 feet of water, it worked really well. It did. So the side scan mode did look really good. But again, I'm used to going out with these guys. We're pumping deep water. We're going for fish in 200, 300, 400 feet of water, and the side scan is not as useful in those depths. The 3D history mode, boom, that's what I'm all about. I can interpret that in my brain. I find that our customers that I talk to when I'm fishing with them, they can interpret that in their brain really well. The cross-sectional mode is like a wide beam A-scope. That's really cool when you're looking for fish right under the boat. And of course, the what most people use is that triple beam down sounder mode, where you got 40 degrees port, 40 degrees under the boat, and 40 degrees starboard. All those modes work really well. But I will say this, I was impressed in super shallow water, down to like 10 feet. that side scan mode looked really, really good. And I was impressed with the 3D and the performance, considering it is 165 kilohertz. We're going against frequencies and machines that are pumping 3, 4, 5 times that frequency, and the machine still worked really well. So it was really good.
But Eric, you do bring up a good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because maybe side scan, like you said, 3D sounder history works with your brain.
Yeah.
But we offer all these different screens for the DFF 3D, so you find what works for you.
That's
right.
right.
What I like,
That's right.
Because I love side scan, I really do. I use 3D history over top of side scan on my, TZT, and I love it. That's just the way it works for me. But like you said,
yeah,
it does work.
I'm not
glad
used to
you got
looking at it,
see that works now.
and you have to use it for a long time. And if I'm not out on the water every day, and I typically don't fish 30, 40, feet and under. So that's why I wasn't used to it. But I will say, Captain Jack, when he showed me, he goes, hey, have some patience. We're going to see these cigar minnows, and boom, boom, boom. And dude, they were right there. It was pretty impressive. So.
That's why we listen to the pros.
Exactly. That's why we're here, yeah.
Looking at the DFF 3D compared to the other systems side scanning sonars, the DFF 3D does require an external box, while the other systems are built in. They operate at different frequencies. The DFF 3D operates at 165 kHz, while the other systems operate at much higher frequencies. Taking a look at the number of beams and the beam width, the DFF 3D is a multi-beam sonar, which means it has 40 beams that spreads out to 120 degrees, with each beam being 3 degrees. The other 3 systems have 2 45-degree beams pointing port and starboard. When looking at performance ranges, the DFF 3D is able to go much deeper than the other systems, getting down to over 1,000 feet of water. And when we look at the fish detection ranges we observed while testing, the DFF 3D goes from 15 feet of water all the way to 900 feet. The DFF 3D offers a variety of modes, including the 3D history mode, the triple beam mode, the cross-section mode, side scan mode, and the chirp down sounder mode using the internal True Echo Chirp fish finder, while the other systems only offer some of these modes.
Well, I want to thank the guys for a great day on the water. It really was an awesome day comparing all of this side by side, and I think we learned a lot. And I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Furuno Connections, and stay tuned because we have more to come.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the bell below to get notifications for the next time we release new videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.